Hey guys, college football update week 5. As always, just a ton to cover, so we're going to just get right to it. We're going to start with Notre Dame beating Virginia 35 to 20. Look, Virginia is the number 18 team in the country. I did think coming into this game and really coming into this year that Virginia was going to be a very, very, very difficult game for Notre Dame. It certainly looked that way in the first half. Bryce Perkins was on fire. I mean, just ridiculous. I mean, the guy was making every throw. I will say the middle of the field was pretty wide open. I think Notre Dame was playing a zone in the first half. That would explain that. But he was really making some great sideline throws as well, and I was really impressed with the receivers and just a really nice physical offensive line by Virginia in the first half. Didn't see a ton of running yards that were happening in the first half for Virginia, but Perkins was really just sitting back there and had plenty of time to do what he needed to do, and really kind of picked him apart, to be honest with you, in the first half. Second half, a completely different story. Notre Dame changed their defensive philosophy in the second half, really started coming after him. Understood that Perkins was going to be able to beat them throwing the ball, so they said, you know what, if we can try and beat us throwing the ball, then we're just going to try to contain you, and that's exactly what they did. I think Virginia had 4 yards total rushing. Notre Dame had 8 sacks on the day. Really just an incredible performance from Julian Okwara. Jameer Jones had a great play that really kind of changed the game for Notre Dame. Hit Perkins. Perkins fumbled it. Myron Tagovailoa Amosa, the big boy on the defensive line, took it down and down to about the 5 or 10 yard line. Then Notre Dame punched it in from there, went up 21-17, and it was really off to the races. So holding Virginia to 3 points in the second half, I could not be happier with the way that Notre Dame bounced back after a very, very difficult loss to Georgia the week before. These are the kind of games that Notre Dame would lose normally. So this is exciting for me as a fan because you see the progression of what this team is becoming. Again, this stuff takes a lot of time, guys. I mean, they're not automatically going to be a top 4, top 5 team every year. It takes a long time to build this stuff up, but I think Kelly has really found the formula. Defensive line, just a ton of guys that are coming in, coming out. Dalen Hayes did get injured, but for me, and he got injured for the year, and he's a great defensive lineman. But for me, I almost kind of see that as a silver lining because I think they're going to be able to play Jones more, and that's exciting for me because I love Dalen Hayes too. I think he's great, but I think Jones can come in there and play as well. So if you're going to have a guy go out, he's any guy in the defensive line is really what you would want if you're a Notre Dame fan, although, some of them anyway, a lot of those guys you wouldn't want to go out. Tony Jones, I think, had a great game for Notre Dame as well, 134 yards rushing. I've been really, difficult on Tony Jones as a Notre Dame fan. I just do not see him as a number 1 back. I still don't. It's just difficult when you have Dexter Williams, but last year. But Tony Jones had a really, really nice game for them. Really carried the offense. So good job by him. Notre Dame is Bowling Green this week. That should be a nothing game. And then on down from there, we'll see what happens with USC and Michigan coming up. So good win for Notre Dame. Thought Virginia was going to be a tough out, and they were. So just got past them. Good win. All right, let's move on. Started the weekend with Penn State Maryland. Here's the thing about the Penn State Maryland rivalry. All right, it's not a rivalry. Penn State, they have played 43 times. Penn State has won 40 of those times. Right, Maryland has won 2 games and they've tied once. That is not a rivalry. All right, let me repeat it again. That is not a rivalry. The other team actually has to win more than twice. All right. So, don't even, and if you look at the last 3 games, I cannot remember off the top of my head exactly what that score is, but it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 or 160 to 3 or 6 or something. I mean, it's ridiculous. Penn State blows out Maryland all the time. And let me tell you, I fully expected this from Maryland, and I fully expect more of this when they play in the Big Ten. I could care less what they did in their first 2 games. They played Howard, and that's Howard. Who cares that they beat them 79-0? And then they beat Syracuse, I think 62-30 or 63-20, one or the other. And that's not impressive to me either because Syracuse is not known for defense. So I expect Maryland to continue to fade throughout the year. I told you I was not impressed with the Loxley hire. I still am not. I just don't see that really going anywhere. Clemson gets past North Carolina. This is one of the funniest things that I'm hearing this week. Clemson's not a great team. They're not very good at all. Seriously, it's college football. This happens. I mean, sometimes you go on the road, you play these kinds of tough games, you just got to pull it out. They won the game. They won 21-20. I get it. They did not play their best game. I understand. And, I love the fact that North Carolina went for two, by the way. I think that was fabulous. I mean, that's what you have to do with a young team, with a team that's used to losing. When they're in a game like that, you want to show them, hey, you know what? I believe in you guys. I believe you can win this game, right? I don't agree with the play call. I don't know why you would run to the outside against the Clemson defense, but I love the fact that Mac Brown went for two. And look, Clemson fans, Clemson will be fine. They just played a bad game. Look, are they going to go undefeated? I don't know. I would think they would. I mean, the ACC is pretty weak, very weak. Are they going to be in the playoffs? They should be. Are they going to win it all? I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. It's very difficult to repeat, and it's very difficult to continue to be on the top of the mountain all the time. But again, good win. Get out of there. Just move on to the next week. Ohio State destroys Nebraska. A second ago I talked about how difficult it is to get back, to the promised land. Here's the reality. Nebraska has been off and on, but really not very good at all since about 1999. So we're looking at about 20 years here of being a bad program. And so many people say, well, it's because Nebraska is in the middle of nowhere. It's in the middle of the country. I understand that. Iowa is similar to Nebraska in a lot of ways, and Iowa manages to win 7 to 9 games a year or more sometimes. And that's because Ferentz has built a program, and it's taken him time to do it. Now, Nebraska fans are not going to be okay just winning 7 to 9 games a year just because of what they've been able to do in the past. I do think Nebraska is going to be able to get back with Scott Frost, but to those people who thought that Nebraska was going to be able to hang with Ohio State, you're idiots. Because Ohio State, if you look at their recruiting over the past, 30 years, it's incredible. If you look at Nebraska's, it's awful. I mean, awful in comparison. 40th, 50th. Maybe they had a top 25 or 30 recruiting class in there. Certainly they did with Pelini. I know they recruited pretty well. I mean, Ndamukong Suh is a good example. I mean, they had some players that made it to the NFL, but they were winning 9 games then. The past 10 years or so, it just has not looked good for Nebraska. It's going to take a while to get back. So, yes, they got killed. Do I think they could still win 7, 8, maybe even 9 games? 9 might be a stretch, but 7 or 8, sure. And that's a building block. Let them go to a bowl game first. Let them see what they can do about winning that and go on from there. Florida State should always play Hornibrook. I don't know why he wasn't playing to begin with. He's a winner. He came from Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a winner. You got to play that guy. He knows how to win ball games. I mean, just put him in there and let him play. I mean, give me a break. What are you doing not playing him? I mean, James Blackman? I mean, what has he done? I mean, come on. Put in Hornibrook. I get it. He's a grad transfer. Probably trying to play Blackman because he's going to be there. But, play Hornibrook. He's ready. He can win you games now. And we saw what happened there. I think Florida State, it's their best shot at winning 7 games. Keep them in there. Hawaii destroys Nevada 54-3. Now, let me tell you, I'm loving this Hawaii team. Hawaii already has 2 Pac-12 wins, Arizona and I think Oregon State. They're playing really, really good football, and Nick Rolovich is at Hawaii, and he loves being there, which is always exciting. Real quick, Rice, I get it. Rice is 0-5. Everybody, it's Rice. Nobody wants to talk about Rice. But look, they're 0-5, but let me tell you the teams they played. Baylor, Army, Wake, Texas, and La Tech. Each one of those teams have 2 losses. Rice has played a lot of those teams very tight. They lost to Army 14-7, lost to Baylor 21-13. They did get destroyed by Texas, and I think they played Wake Forest as well. Got destroyed by Wake Forest and Texas. But they played at least 3 of those 5 games pretty tight. So I like the way that Rice is playing. I think there is optimism there. They have nothing. They have no facilities. They have nothing. Give them a break. I mean, can Rice win 6 games in Conference USA consistently? Possibly. And by the way, speaking of Conference USA, it's 1986 all over again. SMU somehow is ranked. Very exciting times. Who saw that coming? I'll talk about it more next week. But I'm very excited to see SMU back in the top 25 for the first time since 1986. It's unbelievable. I had 2 Ask Roger questions that were submitted this week. Will Healy at Charlotte. Do I think he's a good coach? Do I think he's a good fit? I absolutely do. I absolutely think Charlotte is on the right path with him. Keep in mind, he coached at Austin Peay. I mentioned this when he got hired. Austin Peay had lost 45 of 46 games before he was hired. His first season, they did nothing. His second season, they were 8-4. 8-4. Keep in mind, that's a team that had lost 45 of 46 games. Yeah, I think Charlotte will be fine with Will Healy. And then there was another question about contracts and coaches' contracts. Do I think they're out of control? 100%. Do I think there's anything you can do about it? No, I do not. Do I care? Not really, because a lot of the times it's a booster that's paying for it anyway, and the school isn't really footing the bill. I get it. It's out of control. All of college athletics is out of control, but there's really nothing we can do about it anyway. So, I just accept it for what it is. It's kind of like baseball contracts, which are also ridiculous and out of control. It is what it is. It's an enormous amount of money trading hands, and again, there's not much you can do about it anyway. Do I think it's going to ruin college athletics, or do I think it already has? Yeah, I kind of do, but again, I can't do much about it. So, do I have an opinion about it? Yeah, my opinion is it sucks, but again, there's not much I can do. So, I just try to enjoy the game for what it is, and take it in stride. So, all right, guys, hope you enjoyed it and enjoy the games this upcoming weekend. Thanks.